Welcome everyone. I am happy that you are with me today. So in this tutorial, I wanted to go over how to do the What's Bugging Me assignment. I have taught this class many times, and quite often students get a little bit confused as to what to submit, how to submit, what is proper way of doing things. So I wanted to clear that up for you in just a bit. So let me know. Again, after the video, please make sure that you leave comments and let me know if I missed anything or something you would have liked change, and I'd be more than happy to take a look at it. So right over here, you talk about the actual assignment here, the module is talking about debugging, and I can't tell you how much time I spend debugging. So when I teach online where there's an active audience or active students, or I'm teaching in the classroom where there's actual students present, I make a lot of mistakes because I do everything from scratch. I rarely ever work from a script. So I'm going to make mistakes, but the reason why that is so good is because you're going to make mistakes if I'm going to make mistakes. So this gives you an opportunity of what to look for, how to fix. But in this particular case, we're just strictly going to look for the mistakes. So it tells you to open up the virtual lab Abacus. I highly don't recommend doing that. If you have a computer that you have access to, download either Visual Studio Community or Xcode if you're on a Mac. Using the Portu portal, while it works, is much more difficult. Virtual Studio is free. Xcode is free. There's a ton of tutorials out there, and I'll be more than happy to guide you all the way. So you have a calculator app that looks like this. It's brand new, and it's got a whole bunch of bugs in and tells you that you want to fix the errors. You need to use inline comments to explain how and why you fix the bugs. So remember that just fixing a bug is only part of it. You need to explain, okay, I took out a semicolon, I changed this, I changed that. So you want to actually make sure that everything is well documented. You can see the rubric as it is right now. So what I want to do is open up the calculator app, and you can see what we have here. So I am going to copy and paste it in Visual Studio. I've somehow gotten into the habit of saying Virtual Studio. Do not know why. Maybe it's because of the constant phrase virtual environment, but I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to open up my version of Visual Studio down here, which is Visual Studio 2022. It is totally free, and it may ask me to log in from time to time. I just click on ignore or skip, and I'm good to go. So I'm opening up over here, and I get this screen here. So what you want to do is click on Continue Without Code. Don't worry about creating a new project. Continue without code. So I want to show you two things, though, for this class. Is when we create a brand new project, and you're going to get to the screen, I choose to leave this up here if you have the latest version. Tells me all the things about that are new, but for some reason I just like it, so I leave it on. So what I want to do here is create a new project. Now if you're using Virtual Studio, again, I did it again, Visual Studio, notice that it supports more than C++. So if you are using Python, you can use Python. I also code in C# and JavaScript. You can do query language as well, Visual Basic. They're all add-ons. But in this particular case, we're using C++. So I'm going to click on C++ is what I want, and I want an empty project. So I'm going to click on Next. And I'm going to call the project Calculator. Now, I've already had it set in the directory that I want. I teach multiple classes, so this is the one for CS210. Click on Create. And this is important here. See how it says place solution and project in the same directory? That will save you hassle of going deeper and deeper just to find your CPP file. In this particular case, you only have to turn in the CPP file. You don't need to worry about zipping it and sending the entire project file. So here we have basically nothing now. So we have a new project open. It's called Calculator. what we want to do is right click and choose add. And we want to add a new item. But you can see all the different things that you can use for a class. And then when you click on new item, and we're not going to do existing item, but you'll use that later on if you want to add something to a project. So let's click on new item, and it gives us, what do we want to do? We want to do a file name, and we'll just call it calculator. It's usually not a good idea to leave it as my file name or source or whatever the default is. So now we have basically nothing. So because I copied it, I can now paste it, and I have a working program. So you can see being in Visual Studio gives me a lot of things to work on. I can see I have red here. I have red here, so it's telling me I have some issues in here. And let's see if there's any other red. So here is, I will give you some cases. There are at least 7 things that are wrong. I won't say if there's more, but you should be able to find 7. So I'm going to give you 2 of them right now. And let's go, and maybe I'll even give you 3. So first thing is, look at main. Main requires it to be an integer. You cannot have a void main function. So the first thing you're going to want to do is type in int. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because it's usually not what students think of for an error, and most of them get it wrong. So now we have integer main. So what you would put in here, changed void function to integer. So that takes care of that. So let's go and take a look at, now there's 2 things wrong with this. One of them is missing a semicolon, and the other, notice this is a character, but it's using string quotes. So what you would need to do is change this to a single quote. But it's also missing a semicolon. So you would need to do, put in semicolon, and then you can put them on a separate line, changed to. So that takes care of this. Now the rest is up to you to fix. Now you can see there's some red lines in here. So you need to fix this, find out all these mistakes. And there's one other thing that is not really apparent, but you must put in a return statement. Anytime you have an integer function, a string function, a double function, a Boolean function, whatever it is, it needs to have a return statement. The only exception to that would be a void. So here you're going to put the very last statement before the return, or is actually return, and we're going to do return 0, and you would need to put in return 0. Now here's a little trick to what I do, is I always, for every ending bracket, I always put what it belongs to. In this particular case, main. In this particular case, while. So that's very good. And there's a few things that I would do cosmetic that have nothing to do with this assignment. So the first thing is I would put a blank line after the input, or rather let's see, what do we have here? So we have a while loop, and then we have a while down here. So I would recommend putting a blank line there to separate it. So you can see now you have a whole bunch of red lines in here. So obviously they're telling you there's something wrong. And in most cases, they'll tell you what the actual problem is. So let's go to here, and it says no operator matches it in here. One of the things that I always recommend doing, not part of this assignment is see how it says if operation, and there's an error in that line, by the way. So we have a whole bunch of errors in here. So you want to check it, but let's see if we have one. All right, so this if looks good. So what I want to do here is, and I recommend it, I like to put, this is my personal way of doing things. I like to put all ifs statements in brackets. It's not a requirement, but I like to do it. So you can see there's still a whole bunch of red things in here. So you need to fix them out. So remember, you need to find at least 7. I believe there's actually 8, but you need to find at least 7. So if you're not finding 7, then just keep looking and seeing here. If you do it in Visual Studio, I'm glad I actually said visual, not virtual, I think you'll find it much, much, much easier to do this. So that is it. And when you're done, you want to compile it. So I'm going to get a whole bunch of errors right now. So let's go and compile it. I'm just going to click on this little green arrow over here, and it will probably say all kinds of nasty things. So let's see what it gives me. Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, so if you take a look, it's telling you in line, is it giving me the line? It can't see it because my picture's on there, but it says like 23. So it's telling me there's an issue with line 23. Then there's another issue on line 24, 25. So it really does a really, really good job of giving you some hints on what to fix over here. So that is it for this video. Enjoy it. This is a fun video. So I'm going to try to teach you the very, very best way that you can code. I have been teaching C++ for a lot of years, more than I want to admit. I would never consider myself an expert, but I'm pretty up on all of the features in there. So I should be able to answer almost anything that you can throw at me. That is it for this video. Please have a good time doing this video. Please let me know if you have an issue, and I'd be more than happy to address it. One thing I do want to mention, though, please let me know about your issues before Friday. Sunday is a very busy day for me. I have church all morning. I am the organist, so I get there early. And then I often have deacons meeting as I'm a deacon. And then Sunday afternoon, I try to spend some time at the gym. So I only have maybe 2 hours between 1 and 3 to work on work. And the rest of the night, I want to try to spend with my wife. So I'm not saying I won't answer your question, but in all probability, if you email me with a problem on a Sunday evening, it's going to be a little bit challenging for me to assist you. So please try to get these things done earlier, and then I have more time to help you. Otherwise, it'll have to wait till Monday. So with that, have a wonderful, wonderful day. We in Miami here are celebrating the 4th of July. And so enjoy. Have a good day. Let me know if there's anything I can do.